Welcome to SVSU Red Alert, your weekly update on Saginaw Valley State University athletics. I'm your host, J.J. Boehm. The SVSU football team went to Michigan Tech and came home with a wild victory as they defeated the Huskies in overtime. We'll review that one with SVSU head coach Jim Collins, and we'll also get an update on men's golf with head coach Joe Vogel. That's all ahead on this edition of SVSU Red Alert. Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm joined now by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. And Coach, game against Michigan Tech, you never trail, but boy, it still was nerve-wracking, still, wasn't it?
It was a great game, JJ. And you know, our guys had to play hard for 60 minutes plus with the overtime period. But you said it was you know, for the heart to keep beating after that thing was a good thing, because a couple times it stopped a little bit on my part. But obviously our guys got the job done, and it was great to see.
First of all, what were you able to do offensively to be so successful against the team that in every category was leading the GLIAC in defense going into the game?
I give our coaches a lot of credit for coming up with a good plan, and then our players 98% of the effort for going, or the credit for going out and executing the plan, because I thought we had a good plan going in. I thought we saw some things that we could address and attack, and we did that, and we executed those plays. But the other thing was, I thought we played hard. I thought we were physical. We didn't back down. We were playing a big physical football team. We didn't back down. We came after them with aggression, and that's what we needed to do in order to move the football.
And I thought the other thing was that every time Tech looked like they had all the momentum, you were able to come up with a big play on offense to suddenly quiet the crowd and push it back out to 2 scores.
I thought that was huge. You know, right after they would score, we'd respond, and you have to be able to respond, especially on the road. And that's not easy to do. Homecoming crowd, it got loud, and they were excited to get those scores. But the ability to respond, we've shown that all year. We've shown that type of ability to handle adversity all year, and obviously getting that done on Saturday was big.
Well, there were a lot of highlights for the Cardinals in this game as SVSU was able to jump out to a 21-0 lead. John Jennings running it in for the first one.
Well, we thought at the goal line the quarterback run game was going to be the key, because they really crowd the ball on the goal line, so having the extra blocker was really important to us, and we executed that thing. And now for the second week in a row, we get a big stop on 4th and short. Once again, that was their second drive of the game, and for us to come up big there, I thought was huge. And then, once again, JJ, these are the plays we worked hard on all week, knowing that Galena would be matched up in man coverage and that we could exploit that matchup. Creating turnovers. We were at +2 in the turnover category. Another big thing for us, another week of no turnovers. We thought they were going to be aggressive against our hook play, so we called a hook and go to Sesich and did a great job of executing it. Under duress, they came with pressure there, and John was able to hang in the pocket and make that play work. So I thought we did a good job of scouting them, and then a good job of executing that plan. And then isn't it nice to be able to make a 45-yard field goal?
That would have been good from 60. Scott Stanford with a great boot there.
Well, I think that gave him a lot of confidence, and us confidence in him. And then the other thing we talked about last week in terms of stopping Tech would be to handle their trick plays. And they did their throwback screen, and we had people around that throwback screen the 2 times they called it.
This is another big play because you can see Tech's in the red zone. And your red zone defense was good against Michigan Tech.
Really was. It was a little bit of bend but don't break out there, but you're right. We were able to stop them. And then that's a big play right there. Being able to get the partial block on their field goal attempt and knock that ball wide was big, because the difference was 3 points. Once again, attacking them where we thought we had a chance. They were really aggressive against the run. So to be able to play action pass and hit the big play, we thought was going to be key for us, and we were able to do that there with Jeff Janis.
70-yard score there, and then you come back in your next drive and you get a 49-yarder to Sesich, who shows good breakaway speed here.
That was impressive, and I think a lot of people probably underestimated how athletic and fast Zach is, and they got a little bit caught up with the run fake, and Zach ran right by their safety. And then once again, we had run the waggle play a lot And then we called the waggle throwback to Tim Hogue, and he did a great job there, which set up, which we thought at the time was going to be the winning field goal. It was only the go-ahead field goal. But then in overtime, our guys came up big, and we came with pressure. Grant Caserta got underneath this throw and, went up in the air and made a great interception. And I'll tell you, we've had opportunities all year long to make interceptions, and we had made them. That was great that Grant had hung on to that football and made that play, which obviously set up the game winner for our kicker, Scott Stanford. And to be able to protect and put this thing through the uprights, I'll tell you what, it was a tough, hard-fought game, and to win it like that was appropriate. But it was also one of those things where your team's got to be exhausted, but yet euphoric at the end there. And
you really could see that outside the locker room, because it was also unseasonably warm, temperatures 80 degrees up in the UP that day. So it, in some ways was also a battle of how much will am I going to have to go through the elements.
That's why you have to give our guys a lot of credit, because it was one of those efforts that took a lot of heart, and we had talked about that all week. Being able to come back from Hillsdale, and it was going to be a test of how much heart and character we had, and to win it like that, I think, really proved to us as a team and give us the confidence that we do have something special, and we just got to keep working hard and get better, because we're going to be able to play like that every week, and the execution of the game plan obviously is going to be the most important thing.
Second half, Michigan Tech did a better job in their run defense, but that didn't affect the Cardinals overall, because John Jennings, 19 of 27 passing for 327 and 4 touchdowns.
John had a good game. Once again, they only sacked us once. He had time to throw. He hung in the pocket, got hit after a lot of throws, but he hung in the pocket with great toughness. Our guys caught the football. I don't remember a drop pass. And then, I think then the ability to do some things after the catch was also huge this week. We had emphasized that last week. You see Janice run after the catch. You see Zach Sessage catch that football, run after the catch. You see Hogue's catch. He gets maybe 30 or 40 yards. Galena had yards after the catch. We did a good job of doing the things we had emphasized all week long.
And really, again, a good character win from the standpoint that, you jump on top of Michigan Tech 21-0. I mean, it's lifeless on their sideline, but that's a team with a lot of seniors, a lot of pride, and they stormed back, but you were still able to prevail.
And that's a great point, because when it was 21-0, I don't think we relaxed at all. I think they came up and made some big plays and got back in the football game. But you could see the emotion on our sideline. We did not get deflated one bit. There was a persistence and a positive attitude across the board on our sidelines. And I really had this feeling all along that there was no way our guys were going to walk off that field with anything but a win.
And they did manage to get the victory, 44-41 in overtime over Michigan Tech. Up next for the SVSU football team, they travel to Indianapolis to take on the Greyhounds. We'll preview that one a little bit later on. When we come back, we'll be joined by SVSU running backs coach Andre Griffin. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week is Lauren Hill. Hill, a junior on the SVSU women's cross-country team, led the Cardinal women to a team victory at the Hillsdale Invitational on Friday. Hill finished 8th overall, coming in with a final time of 19:05.78 in the 5K race. Hill has found her stride recently, finishing 2nd at the Lansing Community College Invitational on September 30th. Lauren Hill, your Spring Hill Suites Female Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm joined by SVSU running backs coach Andre Griffin. Andre, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, JJ.
And you've had a whole bunch of guys that you've had a chance to work with on this young season already, because 4 backs have gotten significant playing time.
Oh, yes, we have Ronnie Lark, who's starting. Everybody knows who Ronnie Lark is. Tim Hogue transferred, and Brenda Hayes, who's been with us for 4 years now, and also Dave Parton, who's new, who's actually, I call him the MVP, because he does everything special teams. He's a blocker. He gets out on the nakeds and gets the pass receiving, and he does everything that we need for the team. So he's a great guy to have.
And all of them bring something a little bit different to the table, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Ronnie is he can do just about anything. He's been banged up a little bit, but he can catch, block, and receive as much as anybody in the league. B. Hayes is more of a third down type back. He can receive, and also he can pass protect, and he's a good inside runner. And Tim Hogue is the speed back and can get down the field also. And Dave is the assassin. He likes to get in there and block and clear the way for the backs, and also on jets, he likes to clear the way for his buddy Nick Galena. So.
They were teammates together at Troy High School, and part of why he comes up here. But it helps, too, to be able to have him as well, because now this year you're able to run more I formation where you can have a two-back set.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Dave he's also, I mean, he's only had 2 carries this year, but he can run the ball if we give him the ball. But he definitely can clear the way for those guys, lead block, and kick out Sams, outside backers, and safeties.
What's it like for you in terms of being the coach, working with a group like that, trying to keep everybody happy?
Well, they're unselfish as it is. This is my oldest group that I've worked with. We have 3 juniors, and B. Hayes is the senior of the crew. And those guys just want to win. After a season like last year, they just want to do whatever they need to do to get the championship and win. So those guys are great to work with, JJ.
And I would think, too, that you also then try and figure out ways to play to each of their respective strengths because, again, you say you have a guy like a Tim Hogue, you try and get him out in space and have him work the edges more than you would some of the other guys.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All of them have different skills, and you know, having Tim Hogue is special just because he can actually be a receiver. He's a kickoff return specialist, but you can get him in, and he has to, even if he takes a fake, he's noticed out there. So he's a great person to have on the team also.
And it's interesting, too, that you bring up that this is a group who, you know, I don't care how many carries I get, I don't care any of that kind of stuff. I just want to find a way to win football games because one of the things that happened Saturday against Michigan Tech is that the run was not as big a factor because you were having success through the air.
Right. Well, the first half we ran pretty good. The second half we didn't get going as much. This is the best defensive line that we've played, but those guys got in there, and you know, we had to put them in for different situations as rollout passes. You want to get Dave Parton in. Pass situations, you want to get Brandon Hayes in there a little bit, and just the ground. Even though we got 2-3 yards in the second half, Ronnie Lark, he wears on you as a big back. So you know, those guys do a great job of doing what they have to do.
And I would think that for the second half of the season, we can expect more of the same. You're going to continue to see all those guys rotating through.
Definitely more the same. Second half of the season, I think we're going to be able to get those big plays as we get healthier and get better, and they know what they have to do. So we'll be better these last 5 games, guarantee that. And
each of those guys has been able to come up with some critical plays as well in terms of key situations. I think back to Dave Parton. You know, here's a guy who, as you said, only has 2 carries on the year, but one time you line him up in the I formation and he leaks out as a receiver and catches a touchdown pass.
Definitely. Dave Parton probably has one of the best hands on the team, and we practice every day of throwing real quick passes and getting up the field, turning your knee up the field and getting in the end zone. So he did a great job on that play, got in the end zone and didn't get denied.
And now you get a chance to work against an Indianapolis team where, again, I know you'll try to establish the run.
Definitely. We have to establish the run. We've been pretty good the last few years as establishing a run against Indy. Inside zone is going to be good for us, and outside zone, and we'll be good in the pass protection, and we're just going to keep rolling, JJ.
Well, I know the plan. Good luck, and, you know, keep working all those guys in there and keep it going. Andre Griffin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, JJ.
And when we come back, we'll be joined by SVSU men's golf coach Joe Vogel. That's ahead on SVSU Red Alert.
You see them every day, filling their time with empty tasks and outmoded displays of masculinity.
They're adult men, and each one is precious.
Fortunately, there's help.
Right now, there's boys like me ready to be matched.
Just waiting to share our wisdom and friendship as little brothers. If you're a man, please contact Big Brothers Big Sisters. It's not too late to help you.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm joined now by SVSU men's golf coach Joe Vogel. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, JJ.
And Joe, you've been at this a long time, but I know that this fall has been not the way that you wanted it to go.
It's been one of those nightmarish falls for me from a coaching standpoint. It seems like I haven't been able to get too many things right so far, JJ.
So what do you do to keep persevering in those circumstances?
Well, you keep trying to find where your positives are at, and I'd have to say right now my positives right now are 3, potentially 4 very young men, 3 of them freshmen, and then 1 sophomore.
And that's really been a departure from what your program has traditionally been, where you try to lean on those upperclassmen, but at least this fall it's been the underclassmen that have been putting up the lowest numbers.
That is right, and the system of which I've always coached with is maybe a system that might be going out the door. I don't know. I'm still not convinced that that it's a bad system, but it has been one that relies on upperclassmen. It relies on those 3rd, 4th, and even 5th year players with all of the maturity that goes on through those like I say, 3rd, 4th, and 5th years. You rely on that for the better play on your team, and we're just not getting that out of that group of fellas this year.
But you do have some young players who have really stepped up and played well this fall.
Oh, definitely. Micah Skidmore, who actually is a redshirt freshman, and came close last year, pulling him off the shelf and getting him in the lineup. And I think right now that probably was a good decision that we didn't, because Micah is going to have a great 4-year career. This last weekend down at Findlay, he hit some shots that I'm not sure I've seen him hit before, played very poorly from his standpoint, and really from any standpoint in the Division II level when he shot an 82. But the amazing thing is that it didn't really affect him mentally. He comes back and shoots 69 yesterday. So that's the neat thing, is that I've got a kid like that can figure it out without having a 2 or 3 week period of sorting things out that might have gone wrong. He just knows he's a good player.
I would think now part of his development, part of what you'll be working on as a coach, is to, kind of eliminate those valleys, because the peaks are already there.
And I think that will happen, and you've, again, going back to the system where you're looking at the maturity, that will happen through time. He'll get it. He'll figure it out where and what not to do in certain situations to eliminate maybe a bad score on a hole here or there. But for the most part, yeah, I'm expecting that valley to get a lot shallower here, even through this through the spring season anyway.
And I know that you talked about the tradition that you've had in the program, and I know part of that is keeping your former players involved with the program, and you've got a big outing coming up that does that.
Yeah, what's really neat is we have what we call our Old Timers Day. It's a Sexsmith Memorial, goes back to one of the players that I played with, and he passed away at a very early age, and we set up an endowment. It's been probably 25 some years ago now that we started this thing, and the neat part about it is that we ask our alums to come back and play against our current team members in a Ryder Cup format. Both the alums as well as the current players look forward to this day every year. When it comes to charging the alums to help defray some of the costs, I never have any concern there, because I've got guys that if they've been here if they just graduated, they might give me a check for $25, and some of the older guys might be giving me a check for $1,000. And it all goes back towards a golf scholarship. I mentioned the Sexsmith Memorial. That's the endowment that was set up. We have over $50,000 in that endowment set up just solely from these guys coming back, and again, us not really asking them for a specific dollar amount. It's just what these guys feel that they're comfortable with giving.
Well, hopefully they're able to enjoy the camaraderie and maybe impart some wisdom to these younger guys, because I know you'll need them in the spring and in the years ahead. Oh,
that's right. In fact, the other neat component of the day is not only are they out there playing, but then we come back to the Ryder Center, put them all around a big square dinner table, and it really helps with that camaraderie, that very social interaction that you were just talking about. It's a great event for us.
Well, we hope that goes very well, and we hope for better things ahead for the golf program. Joe Vogel, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, JJ.
And when we come back, we'll be rejoined by football coach Jim Collins. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's Spring Hill Suites Male Athlete of the Week is Scott Stanford. Stanford, freshman kicker for the SVSU football team, helped the Cardinals to a victory by kicking 3 field goals in a 44-41 overtime victory over Michigan Tech. Stanford's first kick was a career-long 45-yard field goal at the end of the first half. The true freshman added a key 20-yarder to put the Cardinals ahead 41-38 late in the final minute of play. After Tech failed to convert their overtime possession into points, Stanford once again came through in the clutch with a game-winning 23-yard field goal to give the Cardinals the 44-41 victory. Scott Stanford, your Spring Hill Suites Male Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. The SVSU football team stands atop the GLIAC North standings in first place by themselves, but they still have to go back on the road if they want to continue to maintain that position. A trip ahead to the Indianapolis Greyhounds. I'm rejoined by SVSU head coach Jim Collins. And Coach, this is an Indy team that's playing well.
Playing extremely well, doing a great job of throwing the football. I think they're very sound on defense. You know, they've got some big wins on the season, and they're in those North standings. They're right there, you know, next to Tech and next to Ferris, so obviously a big game and a lot on the line.
And another road trip for you, but you know, this is going to seem like a short one compared to the trip to Michigan Tech, but obviously another opportunity for you to be able to go and be successful on the road.
Well, I think we have some confidence as far as being able to win on the road, so I think that helps. And we really view those road trips as business trips, but also great team building opportunities. And I think our team revels in being on the road and enjoying that time together, and then the challenge of playing in someone else's stadium. So once again, it's a big challenge, but a challenge our guys are up to if their mind's right.
What's it like on a week-to-week basis to have to prepare against all these different teams? Because as you said, Indy's a team that's going to look to throw the ball a lot, so offensively they're very different than the Michigan Tech team you just played.
I think there's a lot of pressure on the defenses in this league as a whole because there's so many good offenses and so many offenses that do different things. You know, Indy's a team that's probably similar to us in the run game. They're going to run out of a one-back set, a lot of shotgun run plays, but they do more drop-back pass than probably any team in the league. So we've got to be really good at defending the run again, but also, you know, defending a different type of passing team, more of a drop-back scheme, more of 3- and 4-man route combinations. So, you know, a big challenge for the defense again.
And so they'll have to answer that. And then on the offensive side, Indy, a team that historically has been able to put pressure on the quarterback.
Great job, I think, up front. They run a lot of stunts. They're quick up front. They're not the biggest defensive line in the league, but they're probably one of the quickest defensive lines in the league. The other thing that I think they do a great job of is their sound. Not as many big play opportunities. They haven't given up a lot of big plays this year. They play a lot of deep coverage, try to keep things in front and come up and tackle. And they've got some guys in secondary that are very physical and good tacklers.
And then for special teams, some big field goals for you. We're also come up with some other big plays in special teams, and that certainly helps when you're in these tight football games.
Exactly, and it was good to see. It was good to see the confidence gained in the field goal, because we hadn't attempted a lot of field goals up to that point. And to see Scott come through with those field goals is good. To see the protection be really sound and the operation time, execution be really sound. We've got to get better in other areas. We had some great kickoff coverage plays on Saturday. But some bad ones. We did a pretty good job in punt, but we got a punt block. So we've got to really shore up some things in the kicking game, and once again, that'll be you know, big going into this game.
You're at 4-1 now, midway point of the conference season. How do you feel about the way that your team has played thus far?
I really like the way we've played, JJ, because the bottom line is we figured out ways to win, with the exception of that Hillsdale game. We've had to figure out ways to win, and it's been different. You know, we had to come from behind against Ferris. We had to hold on and get a 4th down stand against Northwood. We had a battle back and forth with Michigan Tech and win in overtime. Our team's got character. I think they understand what it takes, and they can execute down the stretch in high-pressure situations. So you got to think that that's going to really help, because the last part of the season it's going to get tougher, and it's going to be a bigger challenge.
And also, again, you've got to go week to week, but also now you're in a situation where you know that there's a lot on the line every week as well.
You know, and this one's no different. Indianapolis, you know, if you look at where they stand in the standings, you look at who they've beat, you know, they're as good a football team as any in this league, and we've got to be at our best to get the victory.
Well, hopefully you're able to do that and come back from Indiana with a victory after returning from the UP with a victory last week. Coach Collins, good luck.
Thanks, JJ.
And we hope you have enjoyed this edition of SVSU Red Alert.